perfectly suddenly does not work properly anymore. It may not open properly, or if it does, it opens with a creaky sound, and even the window may not slide up and down as smoothly as it used to. You see, it came back looking as good as new. That's the part of panel beating. But inside, the mechanism of the window and the door are not back to normal because time was not taken to get a specialist to fix it. Or a specialist may have fixed it, but in the owner's mind, the door is not just the same since it was worked on. Sometimes it is all in the mind. These two scenarios describe me on two different levels while I write this. In the initial stages, I had perfected the art of looking fabulous and calm on the outside, with my flawless face bit, nice clothes, complete with a smile. Anyone who saw me would have described me as a perfectly put together woman. But the truth is, like the dented door, some parts of me did not function like they used to. I had troubles way beyond what I was able to manage at the time, and I needed someone to open me up and fix my mechanism so I could function as well as before. I needed a big breakthrough. I was in debt so much so that my monthly earnings could not cover my expenses. Depression had done such a good number on me that I was unable to properly manage my funds. One of the symptoms of depression for some people is impulsive spending. You see, sometime you see something, excuse me, and immediately you must have it. So you buy it, but the satisfaction is fleeting. The euphoria from the impulse purchase lasts for less than a second, while your depleted bank balance takes months to recover. And even if you are not susceptible to impulse spending, depression still has a way of affecting your ability to properly manage your funds and plan for the future. The latter was what I battled with, even after it seemed that I had healed. Here I was, having worked hard to love myself, yet this damaged, beautiful woman of value would still miss the bullseye on the dartboard when it came to putting money aside. Even reading The Smart Money Woman by Aresia Ugo did not cure me completely, but it helped to awaken my financial state awareness so that I could intentionally put some money aside occasionally. I also became obsessed with looking for ways to augment my income. So I'm going to stop there. I'm going to stop there, so I just thought I should just share because that was part of my journey. Okay. And in this journey of mine, you know, I I had to do research, I had to research deeper because if you remember, I actually thought I didn't think that depression would affect me financially and my financial management ability, right? And so I had to do, deeper research on this, and in that research, I mean, like I would share one of the areas that I found, quite interesting. It was from a 2000 report for Money and Mental Health Policy Institute. So they actually examined the way depression affects our ability to manage money. And so that means that it's actually a topic, or a growing concern all over the world, And one of the things that they said is that depression impairs focus and working memory. And it makes one struggle with the complexities of money matters. That's one of the areas, that they actually shared. So if you think about it, that's one of the things that I struggled with as well. Okay. And then the second one is that it affects the ability to plan and make decisions. So routine tasks become insurmountable because, when you're putting money aside and planning, it's a routine thing that you have to do. And with depression, you don't want to do anything that is routinely, aligned. Sometimes you just want to just be, right? And so that also affects. And then the third one is you lack motivation, which affects your ability to keep on top of your finances. So with depression, some people don't want to get out of bed. I mean, it happened to me. But of course, I had a job to go to, right? But you don't want to get out of bed. You don't have any motivation to get out of bed and go to work or to do anything. You just want to keep the windows closed and stay under the duvet, right? And so the same thing with your finances. You don't want to get on top of it, because you don't want to face anything. You don't want to just face anything. And that's one of the effects of depression on finances. And then the fourth one is budgeting becomes complex and you lack energy to track where your money is going. So I've been talking a lot, but if you guys want to have questions, you can share in the or comments. You can
Comments.
share, yes,
Or
in the comments. I
or
have
you can raise up your hand. Just raise up your hand or
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, I have 8 points to share, and then I would stop talking. Okay. The fifth one is you may struggle to prioritize your spending or when shopping around for products. Okay, so that also used to happen to me. So you have a monthly list, because everyone should try to budget, right? And so even then you have a list, you go into the supermarket to buy your groceries, and then you find yourself buying things that you shouldn't be buying. So you're not even prioritizing your list, right? So that is another thing. It might seem like it's nothing, but by the time you get back home, I remember, and I'm looking through my stuff. I'm trying to unpack my groceries and put into the cupboard and everything. I'll ask myself, why did you buy this? So it's important, because I mean now I'm in a healthier place right now. So I go strictly with my list to, for shopping. But before, no, I wouldn't even deviate from my list anymore. But now, I mean that's what's happening now. But before it wasn't like that. So, with this struggle, it leads to further struggles to find your way out. And so I went through that. And that is why, in the book, I also mentioned that I also was now looking for ways to augment my income, right? And so struggling to find a way out could lead to to wrong decisions, resulting in further debts. So I how there were opportunities for network marketing, which I tried to get into, and then I just found myself in more debt because, of course, it wasn't working for me. So you see, it just affects you. You could end up making financial decisions. This is the seventh one. You could end up making financial decisions without thinking them through. And then this is something that actually happened here because I wanted to augment my income so desperately. So I recognized that my finances were not in the right place. And the first thing I was thinking of was augmenting my income. Okay. And so opportunities will come your way, like, network marketing. And instead of, really doing my due diligence, I went in, for it. And so that was really wrong it was a wrong decision. And so this happens a lot to people, and it's important that you are aware. Okay. And then the eighth one is keeping mum. That's another thing that happened to me. You keep mum about it because you cannot face the shame or deal with people knowing your struggles. And this is something that a lot of us go through. You see, when you keep quiet about what you're going through, you find that you don't get the solution. It's all in your head.
That's
One of
true.
the most important things is being able to speak about it. And so before I hand over to Buki, I want to say here that when you're going through depression, when you know that you're not on top of your game, because sometimes we don't also want to accept that we're going through depression. If you in your mind, you know that, yes, I'm not really mentally thinking things okay, or I don't really have a handle on my finances, it's important that you talk to someone. You must talk to someone. Look for a professional to speak to, that you can open up about your depression or your debts. It is important that you open up and talk to someone so that they can help you, through. And this is something that I did not do. I didn't do it. And so for a very long time, I suffered financial, which even if, is impacting me even now, though I'm slowly getting out of it. But because I had been in that place for long, it's an event, something for long, it takes a long time for you to come out of it. All right. So I mean, in this situation, that's exactly what happened. So I'm still finding my way out of it. And so I just thought, let's talk about this. All right, Buki.
Wow,
I'm
thank
handing
you
you.
very much. That was a lot of information that you just gave us about how, like, the why people cannot make certain decisions, or why people actually get into struggle with finances when they are going through depression. But for me, so what I will be doing now is, just talk on some of those things that you mentioned, and
Mhm,
see or share with our audience, saying these are some of the things I think they could do that would help them through that depression phase. So one of the things I found out is that, what said, if people are going through depression, and if it's because of finances, they are 4.5 times less possible to, like, for them to heal through that depression, which means that
mhm,
they have 4.5 times less chance to actually go through successfully their own healing process, because the two topics are very, very heavy topics. They are topics that people don't like talking about. People are ashamed of it, and so I think I must commend your courage for you to tell us tonight, saying, what, I realized that when I was going through that depression during this part of my life, or at that point in time of my life, I had that, I couldn't really handle my finances very well. And yes, I've sought help, I've gotten some help, but I'm still going through, like, some of the things that happened in terms of my finances. I've not really cleared them off, but I know I'm going to get there, right? So I really appreciate your vulnerability, to tell us, to say it is okay not to be fine, it is okay to be depressed. The point is that you don't stay depressed, right? And that is one of the first things I would say, that depression is not something that, you hide from, or you say, okay, or you deny. If you realize that you are having the signs of it, please accept it, but then we now start to work towards, going through the healing process. And that is the first thing I would say. And that brings me to the first question that's been asked by Oladaye. She's asking, what are the early signs of depression? And I'm going to throw the ball back to you, Ivy. So how can you know that, okay, these are red flags? What are the things that I need to be aware of, to say, okay, you know what, before I go knee deep into depression, if I'm seeing this, then quickly need to, like, you know brace up and probably get help as soon as possible before things escalate out of hand.
Okay, thank you, Oladayo, for that question. In fact, I'm just going to read a short part from the book. So I said here that depression does not hit you in the face and say, hey, I'm depression, let me in. No. And this is before I answer your question, right? It slowly creeps into your mind like a cold winter breeze creeps into your home through every porous space around your doors and windows, minute by minute, day by day, through
Mm,
your thoughts about you or the situation you're facing,
mm,
until one day you are staring in the mirror, and staring right back at you is depression.
mm,
You become depression itself. Can you
mm.
can you see me? Can you guys see me?
um yes, we can see
Okay,
you.
okay. Now, as a man thinks, so is he. Really, you become what you think most of the time. Depression becomes you when you think that you are alone, that no one is fighting with you. It makes
Mm,
you think that it is against the world. It
mm,
makes you think you are defeated. Okay, so
mm,
so so what I've said is that depression just slowly seeps into you, and it
mm,
starts. One of the symptoms, the early symptoms of depression, when I suffered, was insomnia, trouble
mm,
sleeping, trouble
Okay.
sleeping. I tell you, you may not even realize it because sometimes it doesn't hit you. But if you're someone who is self-aware, and that's one of the things I try to also, teach in my coaching and every time I get to speak with people, you need to develop self-awareness because that way, when something isn't right with you can
No.
immediately, yes, no. So one of the early symptoms is trouble sleeping. Either you're unable to sleep or you can even start sleeping, but then in the middle of the night you wake up and all you're doing is staring, at the at whatever it is that you're staring at. Another one is you would have problems concentrating at anything that you're doing.
Mm.
That's another thing. So you lack focus, you lack concentration, you have a task, and as you're doing it, the next thing your mind begins to drift to different places. And because of that, no motivation. So these are things you need to look at. Another one is appetite. Either you lose appetite, or for some people, you just find yourself eating and eating, trying to make yourself feel better. So that's that is a sign of depression, early signs of depression.
Okay.
But then you also lack interest in activities. So you have activities, things you're supposed to do, and but there's no motivation. You even find yourself actually doing it just for the sake of doing. But there's no enthusiasm. There's no enthusiasm at all. And then another thing again with depression is that you want to be you want to be alone. You want to isolate yourself from people. And this is what happened. Fortunately for me, I had a family that was into, as in we're very close,
Okay.
but they didn't even know that I was going through depression, right? Even with how close that we are. So because of the closeness and the relationship, I was able to just continue, behaving like everything was, in terms of the depression part, everything was okay. But the truth of the matter is that when it came to my friendship relationship, I kind of like stayed away from most of my friends, except one or two, about two or three friends that I was, they wouldn't even let me be alone. But they themselves didn't even know I was going through depression. So it also affects relationship. You just want to be on your own. And then you can also find that you get irritated easily. And you get upset when you just over insignificant things. You understand? That happens to some people too, right? Because there's something that you're not dealing with. That's just the truth. You're not dealing with something. Yes. These are some of the early symptoms that I noticed. Some of them I actually experienced. Another one that I also experienced was uh, heart palpitations, anxiety. I was anxious, and so I had heart palpitations, and I would find myself just running to the hospital just for them to check my high blood pressure was okay. Because I was like, this is not normal, okay? So, but still, I wasn't talking to anyone. That's the thing. So I wasn't getting any better.
Any better?
Yes, exactly.
Wow.
And
Thank
then,
you.
yes, exactly. All right.
Thank you very much. I think that's a lot of a lot of things already that's we should be aware of. You talked about insomnia, you talked about eating a lot, you talk about keeping away from people, heart palpitation, and so many other things. So those are some of the things we should be aware of. And then, like you said, I truly agree with you because from my own personal research, most people when they go, they don't even know what they are going through until like maybe they not get to talk to a professional who now tells them, you know what, this is what is happening to you. So most people don't
Mhm.
even know that they are going through that. And so it is really important that we are self-aware. Self-awareness is really key. Whatever we are doing, whether in terms of finances, whether in terms of our career or professional life, or our personal life, our spiritual life, ministry, we need to be self-aware. So I'm going to now continue on some of the ways you can manage your finances even while you're going through depression. Before that question, I said one of the first thing you have to do is that when you're aware that, okay, this situation that I'm in now is depression. It's okay. Like, accept it. And you know that, okay, that's not the end of the road, because now that you know that, okay, this is the problem, you begin to start to look for what are the solutions. How do I get myself out of this? How do I become better? How do I get to heal? Right? And the same thing now, you now start to think, okay, now that how do I get to heal? Then you now start to think about, by the time you're going through that self-awareness and acceptance, you start to think about, okay, so how did I even get here in the first place? What caused this? And then if it's something that has to do with finances, and when I look at actually the topic of finance and depression and say, okay, which one is the cause and effect? I realize that financial problems, money matters, could either be a cause or effect of depression.
Yeah. True.
It could be a cause, or an effect of depression, and that is something that you have to be aware of. So for example, it could be a cause of depression. For example, if someone is knee deep into debt, right, and they have so much debt and they are not able to get out of it, and you're afraid to call your creditors, you're afraid to go out before somebody say, yeah, give my money, right? You're afraid to swipe your card because you don't know if your bank will bounce your payment back. And then you start having heart palpitation. You're not able to sleep at night, and you're thinking, okay, so how am I going to pay off all of this? So in that case, it was money that caused that depression. It could be that, okay, the person's already depressed. Maybe the person has some family issues or um, career issues or something, and then because they lack motivation, for example, they're not able to get out of bed. The bills they're supposed to pay is running behind. They're not able to meet up with those bills because probably they didn't have money, right, to pay those bills. And things are running behind, and then now there's debt accumulation, and now the whole process starts. So you cannot really separate them, right? And that's why I said it's both a cause and effect thing. So that's the second thing you have to be aware of. The other thing you have to now be aware of, like I said, when you are already self-aware, we are going to answer that question. Once you are self-aware and you know that, okay, and you've decided or you've determined, okay, what is the cause, or how did I even get here in the first place? The third thing you have to do is, begin to write down your spendings. Begin to, especially if it has to do with money, if it's entangled all around money, write down your expenses. Put all those debts that you are owing, all the money you are spending, all the income that is coming, put it down. And while you're putting it down, one thing you should do is that you also put or express the kind of emotions that you are going through, you know, when you think about that money. So if it is debt, and whenever you remember that debt, you're feeling afraid, you're feeling anxious, you're feeling sad, put it down. So it's kind of you having a journal, a money journal, right? Put that emotions down. And when you put that emotions down, you can then put beside it, okay, so how next time I want to go through this, how do I want to feel? What are the kind of emotions I want to have when I'm thinking about this thing next time? It doesn't mean that next time you would have, been able to overcome that emotion. But by the time you write it down, you are putting it in your brain that, okay, this is how I want to feel. But the next time I'm thinking about this payment or this bill, it would help your thinking system. It would help your brain to, and your mindset to start to think, okay, before I used to be very sad when I think about this, but now I'm moving away from, complete sadness to, be more comfortable. And now as I think about paying it off, I'm getting towards becoming happier. So do that. It would really help you, because at some point when you overcome the depression and then you look back at your journey, you would really appreciate, oh, this is how I actually, how I actually developed. These are the steps I actually went through, and now this is what I have been able to achieve during that time. So make sure you keep a money journal, not just for spending, but also to express how you feel about that financial status or that financial state. That's the third thing I would recommend. Now, I think before I go ahead, I would answer that question. Myself and Ivy would answer the question of Olada. She's asking, what was the turning point for you on depression and finances? Do you want to go first, Ivy, or shall I go first?
Okay. The turning point for me on
Yes.
depression and my
Yes.
finances.
Yes.
Okay. So I would say that for me, before I was able to, it was healing. Healing was the very first thing. That was a turning point for me. Healing. Yes.
Okay.
So I had to heal as a person, and it even started with self-awareness, because the book is also about my healing journey and growing in spite of the pain that I was going through. So just a little background on the what brought up my depression is I was going through a separation in my marriage, and it just affected me, right? And so how it is in society when you are married and then the next thing you're not married anymore. It just takes that toll on you. And so there was pain involved, which of course affected me. So I had to grow through my pain. So I made the decision, to grow through my pain when I realized that I wasn't the person that was meant to be. I wasn't operating the way I was meant to be. So a turning point for me, I mean, luckily for me, my depression did not reach a clinical state. That's a very critical thing that we have to understand.
Okay.
I started building my mind up, building myself up, going through the process of healing. And this turned things around for me. It was a decision that I made. Yes.
You made.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because
Thank you very much.
because with depression, you can decide, yes, with depression, you can decide to stay there, or you can decide to rise above it.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow, that's so important. That's really, really, really important. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that. And I think it's also, I would tie it back to, being self-aware and making that decision.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, being self-aware and making a decision would affect your mindset. And you say, you know what, really, is this how you really want to end your life? Or you want to, go out there and smile back at the sun? Right. So I think that is what, in whatever situation we are at all in life, right? Whether going through depression or not, we should be able to come to that point where we say, you know what, I can cry all I can, mourn all I can, but I have to rise. I have to rise. Yeah. And so that is really important. So thank you for that, saying that, going through healing was a turning point for you. So I'll continue I'll continue with what I was saying before around, how you can then manage your finances when you're going through depression. Now, for that, also based on the question Olada asked, and I also think that, again, accepting it, that's okay, now I'm in a mess, but then I have to get out, is a huge turning point. And then, like I said, you documenting that money spending and money emotions you're having would really, really help you, because at that point you are learning to accept, and you are learning or trying to move ahead of whatever emotions you are feeling at that point in time. I don't know if that answers Oladayo's question. If it doesn't answer your question, please just let us know, and then we would pick on it again. So the fourth thing I would say is that, Ivy mentioned that, talking to people is really, really important. And like I said, the topic of emotions, the topic of depression and money is something that people are shy of. People don't want to tell anybody how much they have or how much debt they are going to, they are having. Even to tell people how much you buy your, a simple dress or a car or a house. People don't like sharing those, those things. And I'm like, okay, but then the point is that when you are going through depression and you know that, okay, this is depression, you've come to that fact, to that point, right? Talk to a coach. And if you don't want to talk to a coach, go and see a therapist. That you're seeing a therapist doesn't mean that it has gone to the clinical stage. No, it only means that you are talking to someone who can help you understand the situation that you are in from an external perspective. The person is not you. The person is outside of you. You're just telling the person how you're feeling, what you're going through, and the person is trying to, the person is not feeling the same emotions you are feeling. So he or she is able to give you logical advice or logical insight or perspective. And even if the person is not helping you, is not going to give you, for example, if you go and see a therapist, the therapist might not necessarily give you solutions. But by the time you listen to yourself, the answers will come to you. Because then you'll be like, okay, am I the one even saying this? What am I even saying? And so again, so when you, if you speak to a money counselor, for example, or a money educator, or a money coach, say, okay, these are the things I am going through in my finances. I don't know how to go about it. Most times those people have probably have more knowledge. They are certified, they've gone through the trainings, they have more information. And because money issues are complex, they probably have more oversight in terms of the complexity, and they can help you handle it, or they can help you, give you advice and say, okay, this is what you need to do, these are the things you need to address, these are the things or the places you need to go to get this money issue solved. And remember, one of the things Ivy mentioned is that, when people are going through depression, they are, and if money is involved, they see money as something very complex. So your brain is not even working to address that complexity. You're not in that mood, and money and emotions are together. At the end of the day, it's about how we feel. So the emotions, the complexity is not involved, is not helping you as somebody that is depressed to really see the way out. So what you do is talk to a third party, talk to someone that you believe you can trust, that would guide you. And if the person is not even giving you solutions, the fact that you are telling the person how you're feeling, what you're going through, can help you have insight into how you want to solve your own problem. All right. So the next thing I have for me is that, now that by the time you talk to a coach or a money person or a therapist, begin to now set boundaries for yourself. So some people, when they are going through depression, it's not necessarily that they are not able to pay their bills. Sometimes they are just spending sporadically. One of the things Ivy mentioned was that, she wanted to increase her source of income. And then she started getting into different multi-level marketing schemes. Meanwhile, Ivy is not a marketer. She's not a salesperson. So she's not a salesperson. So why is she getting into, multi-level marketing? Because if you're getting into multi-level market, if you're buying Oriflame, you're buying all those other things, you have to be able to sell. You have to be able, so you don't just buy the product to use alone. You have to be able to sell to other people. And if you know that, in your heart, I know everybody has to sell at some point, but if you know that your core skill is not selling, why are you going into multi-level marketing? You end up buying all those products and think you will sell. No, you will use it, and then some other people will come and help you use it, or they will even expire. Yeah. I'm sure that was what happened in your case.
Yes. And Buki, let me even add, right? So I didn't have any clue. I mean, I didn't know how to market, right? But okay. Yeah, I was thinking that I could market. Okay. Now, how can you So this is what I'm thinking. And when in retrospect, I look at it and I tell myself, there's no way I could have been able to effectively sell to someone in my state of mind, because you want to sell to someone. There's something that you must be able to connect, right? But I didn't have the even the energy, because energy attracts energy. I didn't even have the energy to be able to attract people to me. Exactly. So I was actually in the wrong place. So maybe it may have been the right business opportunity, and everything, but I was not in the right state of mind to carry it out. Yeah.
Thank you very much. So
because I wasn't healed. Yes.
Good. Thank you very much. So set boundaries around what you think you can do and what you should be spending money on. Set boundaries around it. And a good way to do that would be probably having systems around how you spend money. So for example, for example, you don't receive you are blocking ads coming to you. You set up cookies, set up your system in such a way that ads doesn't come when you open your system. Ads of things doesn't come onto your screen, for example, because otherwise you click on it and you start looking for what you're not supposed to buy. So that's an example. Okay, if you know that, okay, one of the ways one of the things you do is you shop a lot and you're going through depression. Throw away your Amazon account, log out of it, forget the password, lock it out, set that boundary so that and before you start, and when you now think of the stress of trying to remember your Amazon username, I hope your business is not on this call. Amazon username, your Amazon password. You wouldn't even have that energy to say, okay, you know what, I want to even continue buying this thing. So try to look at those places where you think you are slacking in terms of money, and then try to set boundaries around it. Try to set boundaries around. So that's another way you can help yourself and then get out of depression. So the other thing I think we then need to now do would be try to talk to, not just I said we should talk to a therapist and all of that, or get help, a money coach or something, but also talk to your friend or to your neighbor or to your family. Tell them about be open to them. Tell them about what you're going through, because it could be that when people go through depression, they feel so optimistic, and that optimism drives them into making bad judgment. So for example, somebody that is going through depression or trying to pay up a debt, I don't know why I'm talking about so much today, trying to pay up a debt, and he's thinking, okay, I think if I play a lottery today and I win, I might win, and then I'm able to pay up my debt. And then every day they do it with the hope, with the optimism that they are going to be able to get in or win something, and then be able to pay off their debt. But if that person, for example, had said, you know been open enough to talk to a friend, probably then they can arrange a way they can do it in such a way that your friend will be able to help you curb that particular habit and say, okay, you know what, my dear friend, I don't want to do this anymore. Can you help me? Can you encourage me? Can you guide me? What do you think I should do? I need to get out of this. So try to talk to a neighbor, talk to your friend, talk to your family. Be open whenever if you're going through issues like this, and don't keep quiet, because if it explodes, it's not going to affect you only, it would also affect people around you. So you want to stay alive, stay healthy, not just for yourself, but for people that also loves you. All right. Do you have anything to say to that, Ivy, before I go ahead?
Mm.
Ivy, do you have anything to say, or should I go ahead? I think you're frozen. Okay, why?
Okay, well, just to buttress on that point
Yes.
is the fact that you're getting an accountability partner. Yes, this
Yes.
allows you to grow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you see the journey, the journey to anything that you want to achieve in life, right? And Ella, thank you, Manuela, thank you. You actually, took the words right out of my mouth. The journey to any goal, any growth goal, right, is not a journey that you can handle alone. All right?
Mm-hmm.
Whether you're going through depression or not in
Yeah.
life,
Mm.
okay, you need to have accountability partners
Yes.
to even remind you, because as when the going gets tough, it's easy for you to be discouraged, or it's easy for you to get to lose focus,
Mm.
in life. And so that accountability partner kind of like reminds you,
Mm.
that, hey, Ivy, isn't you not the one that said, for example, let me give you an example, right?
Okay.
Before I published my book, I finished writing my book in 2018,
Mm.
and
Wow.
I published it in 2020.
That's like two
But I
years.
thank God that I have a coach.
Wow.
That's like
Thank
two
God.
years, right?
Wow.
2 years of thinking, 2 years of struggling with confidence, 2 years of the going through the perfection gap in terms
Mm.
of when you're growing. There's this gap of trying to be perfect.
Mm.
So yes, so that of course affects us from actually taking action. 2 years of second guessing myself, 2 years of so
Mm.
many questions going through my head. But the
Mm.
thing I thank God for is that I have a coach, right? I also have a life coach, right?
Okay.
And she would always remind me, Ivy,
Mm.
this book, when are we publishing it? She would not even, when, so she was on my case, right?
Mm.
She was on my case and did not allow me to even forget that I had
Mm.
a goal. And
A
so this
goal.
is something that's so important for everyone
Mm.
in life. Yes. It's not
Mm.
just even just depression or money matters, for
Money
everything.
matters. Yeah.
It's a lifestyle. It's a
Mm.
lifestyle that we should begin to adopt, for
Mm.
ourselves. Yes.
Wow.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much. Yeah. And I also think Oladaya said something very important. So she said, I think these rules even apply when you are not going through depression, but just being indisciplined with money. And that's true. Now, so it's not just about, okay, going through
Mhm.
depression or not. The things we are discussing today applies to you even if you are not going through that phase in your life right now. Take it, again, be self-aware.
Mhm.
If whatever state you find yourself, accept it, and that is the beginning. Then be self-aware, and then start to write down how you feel about your money, about your income, about your debt, and then where you think you want to be. Do you want to get better? Try to write those things down. And then we spoke about getting a money coach or a therapist that can help you through your personal finance, or your depression state. Or you can also talk to set boundaries around how you spend and all of that, and then getting an accountability partner. So there are things that you could apply to yourself, whether it is depression or not. So thank you very much. Do we have questions, or should we spend like 5 more minutes before because we are almost close to the end of the session, but are there any
Yeah.
questions right now? And I think Dami Lola um dropped a question on YouTube. He said, my question is it wise to invest first before saving? Okay, good. Thank you, Damlola. So this is out of topic of today, but I would just eat on it as soon as possible. So is it
No,
wise to invest?
but you know what? Sorry, Buki, before you even go on, I think
Mm-hmm.
that question even also applies even when you're going through depression. Why?
Mm,
Because I had savings, right? But I
okay.
went through my savings exactly when during the depression. I had savings before.
Okay.
So yes, I had savings, I had investment, but I
Mhm.
kind of like liquidated everything. Yes, to meet certain needs at that
Needs.
time. So
Mm-hmm.
so I think it's a good question. Yeah, even without, yeah, even for those going through depression.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay. So, is it wise to invest before saving? I would say in Germany we will say "jein," like yes and no. So now, if you don't have any savings at all, and all your investments are into risky ventures, I would say that is unwise. You should check. You should then check. Okay, so what is driving this investment euphoria for me? Why am I even investing? You know, because the thing is, when we talk about investing and savings, one has a higher risk than the other. With savings, you know that okay, they might give you a lower interest rate, but at least you have guarantee that whenever you need your money, you can get it back. Of course, inflation might come in and erode some value out of it and all of that. So that's for savings. But for investing, nobody is guaranteeing you anything. There's no guarantee anyway. You could lose the money, or you could, um, you could get income from it. You could get some income from it, right? So then you need to now start. So the first thing I would say is you don't just start investing without having a pool of money to say, okay, oh, this is my saving nest, so that in case anything happens tomorrow, I have something to fall back to. I'm not liquidating my investment, which might not be ripe now, to cover some emergencies. So you want to really look at that. That means you want to say, okay, maybe. So what I normally suggest to people is that if you have if you so before you start like going really knee deep into investing, think about setting aside or creating what we call emergency fund, right? Create an emergency fund between 3 to 6 months, depending on between 3 to 6 months of your own what's it called, of your own monthly income, how what you would normally spend per month. Put it aside, and then you can now invest, really radically. But make sure you have that safety net, because again, if you don't save, and all your income, you're just all what you're supposed to save, you're just putting it into investment. You don't know, you have to consider the fact that you might not have easy access to that investment. You don't know if it's going to bring you returns or not, right? You don't know if by the time you would need the money, it's ripe enough for you to take it out or not. Because if it's not yet mature, if that investment is not yet mature and you want to get out of it, you will lose money. So, and that's why I would say, it's very good to invest and save, but then before you put all your eggs into one basket and start investing sporadically, try to create a little bit of savings for yourself, and then afterwards you can invest all you want to. Damla, I hope that answers your question. Okay, do we have any other question before we round up tonight? And you can drop in the chat box what is the most important thing you are taking away tonight from this session while we wrap up. They're waiting for you.
Okay, so okay, I might just add, to everyone. So while you're dropping your learnings from the yes, don't stay
Yes,
depressed.
don't
Yes.
don't no, don't stay depressed.
Yes.
Those It's a dark place. It's a dark
This is
place.
that is a dark place, yes. And it gets darker and darker. But
Yes.
one thing I want to say is that another thing that can also affect us is pain,
Mm,
pain, the pain you go through may not necessarily lead you to depression, right?
mm, mm,
But because you haven't dealt with it affects aspects of your life, not just
mm,
I mean, it may not even affect you financially, but it can affect you in other areas of your life. And
mm,
as a growth coach, right, I always like to um get people aware
mm,
of how they feel about some of the painful experiences that they've gone through in life. It is so important. Yes, talk to reliable people. It is
Yeah.
so important for you
Leverage
to
others.
heal through your to heal and grow through your pain. Because it's like, because today people, someone might just come and hurt you today, and then that's it. You don't grow from it, and it affects every other aspect of your life, relationship, even, yeah. So please, heal. Just make that decision to actually grow through your pain by healing, by making a decision to heal. And there are certain things that you can do, to grow. But the very first one is also aligned with the first thing that Buki shared in terms of taking control of your finances while depressed, and that is to be emotionally aware of how you feel about the pain that you're going through. So if you're a professional and you have your workplace, you may have a boss who is not very nice to you, and believe me, because you spent most of your time at work, it would affect you even as you're going home and when you get home. You can't get it out of your mind. It doesn't make you feel good. And once it doesn't make you feel good, it affects your decisions and how you even react to this person, and even how you perform on your job. That's why healing must be a lifestyle. You must accept your feelings, and you must even ask yourself, how do I feel about this experience, about this person, even about myself, how I even the role I play in this particular experience. And then the next one, the second one I'll share, and then I'll leave it at that, is you must forgive. Make forgiveness a lifestyle. You're forgiving yourself first of all, and then you're forgiving the person who has brought some hurt to you. You could be someone who has been jilted at the altar several times, or your friends have disappointed you. It affects you as well. That's pain. So pain comes from different directions, different areas, and affects us as human beings. And in my book, I always say this, that why do you want to become bitter? Why not become a bouquet from a flame? So what a beautiful flower is. It brings that beautiful, essence to wherever you are, people that you meet. So instead of being bitter, you've made a mental decision, to be wonderful, to be a beautiful, sweet person, positive person, regardless of what you've gone through. So it's very key that so change the way you think, and then you change your life, right?
Wow.
So so I
Awesome.
just said I could leave us with that.
That was a good icing for our parfait, or a good cup today. Good- a good icing to our cake already. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Olada also said, no, leverage help from others. She's saying so good. Thank you, Ivy. Thank you
Thank
so,
you.
so much. I'm also saying thank you. Thank you very much for being vulnerable. Thank you for sharing out of your depth of knowledge with us tonight. We really, really appreciate you. And I believe everybody on this call, and any other person that would watch the YouTube video at some point, they would take things away that would help them to really overcome depression. And again, you don't have to stay in that depressed state. Like we said, depression is dark, and you have to make that decision, a conscious decision, to get out of it. You
Yeah,
have to, even if you meet the best therapist, the best shrink in the world, at the end of the day, you have to make that decision.
absolutely.
Yeah, you have to make that decision. And that's why don't wait until, and that's why also, one more thing is that we have to own our decisions even as we walk our journey, right? Our money decisions, our life decisions, we have to be able to own it, because the character we show, with the way we live our lives, right, even before that phase of our lives come, the depressed phase of life comes, if it comes at all, would really affect how we what we would do to ourselves, or what would happen to us while in that depressed state. I hope you get what I'm trying to say.
Mhm.
yeah, so it is really important that, even in a whole, when we are whole and healthy and all of that, we should continue to build ourselves up. We should continue to grow, right? We should use all the nuggets we get, try to apply them, and we should blossom wherever we are. We should become a bouquet of out of flames.
Yes. Oh, thank you
Okay.
so much, Vicky.
Thank you
Thank you,
very much.
everyone, for
Yeah.
coming on the call. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Manuela. Thank you, Victor. Thank you, Josh. Thank you, Dami. Thank you, Oladaya. Thank you so much. So we are going to end the call now. We wish you a very good night's rest. Thank you for being here. And you are the best. Just know that you are the best out of all humans on the planet. Thank you. Bye
Thank you,
bye.
everyone. Thank you. Good night.
Good night.